as someone who's led 70 developers, 60, 70, whatever the case may be, have you ever come up to a scenario where you're looking at your deadline? So management obviously has a deadline in mind for you, and you're looking at, and you have budget. Let's say that where you are, you have budget. And you're looking down the horizon at your deadline, and you're saying, you know what, this is not going to happen, and you need to staff up, right?
Yeah.
I'd like to know, and I think it's very valuable for our listeners, because we have a lot of developers that are subscribers to our podcast, and C-level executives, CTOs. So from someone who's done it, what is your process when you need to staff up? Let's say in my example, you're saying, you know what, I need to add 5 more developers. I need to add a sysadmin. I need to add, that type of addition to your team. What's your process for finding these people? How do you go about it?
Well, first off, the first question is can you add anybody? There's a
good point.
I mean, depending on the length of the project, and what your time horizon is, adding people, could be more harmful than not adding people. It's let's say if the project you're like, I used to, when I was working at the last company or my medical device, we were developing these products over a 2, maybe 3-year period.
Okay.
Long time horizons. And so if you need to add people, you figure out how many you're going to need, and you staff up, and you do direct hires or whatever you need to do to get up to that, magic number. And the magic number, you grow that. Now, let's say you're into that 3-year project, and a year into it, you realize I am not making the progress I need. I need to add more people. The choices are, you can still do direct hires, but you might, hit your headcount cap. The company doesn't want, 500 engineers.
For whatever reason, yeah.
Well, I got the budget. They don't want the headcount cap. They want the headcount. So then your choices are hire contractors. Now you can do one-off individual contractors, which might work. You go to a contracting agency, give me bodies. Or you can job shop out chunks of technology out to a consulting company and let them do the work. So I would use a combination of, those methods. I would sit there and say, okay, do I, like, for example, on one of my last medical products, we had a electronic keyboard, on the screen. Well, it's a lot of work to do a French, German, Croatian, Russian, Chinese, Japanese keyboard. Just laying it all out, do all the graphics for that, and then get all the correct, fonts and everything. It was an enormous effort. But the nice thing about it, I could put that into a box and put a bow around it and say, okay, contractor, you do just this.
Okay.
And I think my risk is that, well, I might not get all the keyboards, but I probably have all the ones I need to start with, and I can get the rest of them later. But I'm not distracting my core engineers with something that it's more like digging a ditch than it is, putting a man on the moon, And so I would give that work. So I would look for opportunities to box stuff up that I could give to a contracting company to try to take major chunks of work off of my plate to allow me to still make my deadline.
That makes complete sense. Very, very smart. So you're not disturbing your core team. And if you happen to be in that great position where you can actually get that box with the bow on it, which is not always the case.
Right.
But that's fantastic. That's
so
good.
So you start to look at where, and if you do things like in a sort of an agile way too, is the stuff at the end of the project is stuff that could be thrown off. It doesn't make the train. It gets, so you have to, I always manage my projects where I work towards the minimum viable product.
Yeah.
And anything beyond that is gravy. So I always try to make sure that whatever I do, I finish the minimum viable product in plenty of time. And then I just adding features, and that's just extras, but therefore I guarantee I make my deadline.
Okay, nice.